Welcome back. So we're at the point where we're just going to apply this to our object, and we want to do that in a checker pattern kind of map. So the way we're going to do this is let's get rid of this node for the moment, and let's actually grab our checker mask and let's look at that. So let's plug in our texture and mapping coordinates. Now in this case we're going to actually use generated. If we actually switch to object, you can see that we get this weird kind of effect where on the top part it's white, but on the side it's dark. If we actually go to generated, you can see that each block, the top and the side, is the same colour, which is obviously more accurate, and that's what we want to have. Now as far as the scale goes, at the moment we've got 5 up and pretty much 5 across and 5 wide. So let's take that to 4, because I want to only have 4 layers. As far as the scale goes in one axis, we're going to completely change that. Now, is it this axis we want to change that? Let me change this back to 1. And yeah, that's stretching it in this direction, so let's stretch that to 0.1. And in the other direction, let's bring in a few more of these. And let's try, let's see, about that many. Does that look okay? I think that looks okay. Actually, let's try another few. How does this look? I quite like the look of that. It does look as if we're getting it too high. I believe I've accidentally hit that button. So let's try this again. I don't want to grab this edge here, I don't want to have this effect happening. So we'll just tweak it just past that effect. Let's see, is there any other small errors here? I don't really want this either. Let's actually change the location of this slightly. Just move that over a couple of spots. And we will again just tweak this a little bit. Now I don't mind it being that large, that's okay. Just want to make sure there's nothing strange on any of these other sides. And I think just decrease that a little bit. And move this, and this is just personal taste, this is just what you would like. I think I'm quite happy with this. Now the way this actual apple goes, I think the stripes I do want to be in this direction. You could just tweak them a little bit if you wanted to. What you'll find though is if you look at the side, you'll get these edges that are just off. So we'll keep those at 0. Now as far as the colour goes, we could keep this at white, and we could add a black one here, and that could be the way you make your mask, or you can just use the factor, which is actually a lot easier. So how are we going to mix these two different shaders together? Well, as usual, just a mix shader, and you can see we have 2 shader inputs. So input this bamboo node, we'll duplicate this bamboo node, create another version of it, and we'll use this checker texture as the mask, connect that together. Now they both look completely identical, but if we go to our light and darken amount and change this to like about 0.5 or so, you now see that we have 2 different shades, and it's really up to you which kind of amount of darkness you want, whether you want it really dark, a little dark or not. I would say about 0.5, 0.6 is actually okay. Let's see, 0.65 we've got here, that's fine. Fresnel effect, at the moment, yeah, I think I want to keep it the same for both. I don't think the black is necessarily going to be more reflective than the light. Maybe just for a little bit of interest, we'll just increase it a little bit, and on the other one decrease it a little bit. just for just the slightest amount of difference. In this one we have 0.3 for the roughness, let's see in this one we've got 0.25, and that just makes the black look slightly more reflective. Again, that's just to bring in a little more visual interest. As far as everything else goes, I'm going to stick with all the settings that we have here. Everything looks nice. And there we have it. There we have our chopping board. So I'm just going to call this chopping board because it's no longer just bamboo, it's the actual chopping board material. And the only thing left to do is actually apply the same material, the same bamboo node, to our knife handle. Now, in order to do that, I'll have to unisolate everything. And this is actually where it gets a little bit tricky. The knife handle itself, if we add a new material, let's get rid of this BSDF node, go to our group and go to our bamboo node, and we'll just plug this in. Let's see, this is actually going on at the wrong angle. We want this grain to be going the whole length of the handle. Now, unfortunately, we don't have any built-in system in this bamboo node to change the rotation. We also don't really have any system inside the node to change the rotation easily. The reason for that is we essentially used a bunch of nodes, a bunch of textures, a bunch of mapping nodes, texture coordinates and things like that, where we have so many different values for rotation. To actually build in that rotation value into your node group would be really difficult. And also, if you look at this mapping node, you can see that we have an input, which is a vector, and we have an output, which is a vector. We don't actually have inputs or outputs for any of these rotation values. So in order to find those, you'd actually have to start splitting things down, separate colours or RGBs or XYZs, etc. and recombining them, taking things out, building mix RGB nodes and mixing in colours and setting up sliders, and it's a whole heap of trouble. In some certain nodes, you would definitely want to work on creating some kind of rotation. Without a doubt, there's definitely some kind of materials where you would need to do that. In this case, what we're going to do is we're going to grab this handle, and we're actually going to rotate the handle itself in edit mode, so that essentially its axis is at 90 degrees to what it was before. That will allow the actual grain to take place in a different direction. We will then turn the handle back round in object mode as opposed to edit mode, and essentially it'll be in the right place again. The only problem is if we rotate it in edit mode, the knife handle will rotate and none of the blade or the little metal rods will rotate, and then when we rotate it back, the blade will rotate and the metal rods will rotate and everything will be off. So what we actually have to do is we have to actually unlink the handle from the blade and from the metal rods. So what I'm going to do is just go into my outliner, and we can see that we have our knife and we have our blades, our handle top, etc. And what we really want to do is just separate these out, basically break these out of being basically cut them from the hierarchy, if that makes sense. So let's go to Object, and we want to look at Parent, Clear Parent. Again, Object, Parent, Clear Parent, Handle Top. See, Object, Parent, Clear Parent. And you can see that it's actually Alt P, so this time what we'll do is we'll go Alt P, And we'll do this in this window, obviously. Alt-P, clear parent. And now if we grab this handle itself and we move it, only the handle moves, which is exactly what we want. Let me just undo that move. Let's make that outliner a little bit smaller. So there's a couple of little things that are tweaked here. The knife blade itself is now kind of slightly off. There was a few changes that we'd made to rotations and things like that that have not been taken into account. I'm just going to undo all those changes I made. Let's grab the knife handle. Let's grab this, this, and this. Let's actually use shift this time. Let's use, no, let's not do that. Let's use Alt-P again. I'm going to clear and keep transformation. And this time you see that they have not changed their rotation or their location. But again, you can still move the handle without moving the rest. So this is what we want to do. We want to go into edit mode. We're going to go to local. We're going to select all. We're going to hit R for rotate. We're going to hit Z to rotate along the Z axis. We're going to type in 90 degrees. I'm going to hit return. Then we're going to go back to object mode. Let's just set origin to geometry. Make sure we're on location. We're going to hit R for rotation. We're going to hit Z to rotate along the Z axis, and we're going to hit negative 90 degrees. And that rotates the knife back. You can see the rods are exactly where they were before. The knife blade's exactly where it was before. But now if we go into rendered mode, we should see that the grain is actually travelling the length of the knife as opposed to the width of the knife. So that's exactly what we want. Now just for a little bit of interest, I'm going to make the knife handle itself a little bit darker. Let's take that to something like 0.3. I'm also going to make it a little bit more glossy. So let's take that to 0.2. And the Fresnel node at the moment is set at 0.5. Let's take that to, let's say 2. And the normal, let's take the normal to 0.2. And this is taking so long to render because the screen is so big. Let's just make this a little bit smaller. Maybe not quite that small. Let's just zoom in on this a little bit. Maybe that normal shouldn't be at 2, it should be at 0.2. That's a lot better. And as far as the scale goes, I think the scale is probably just about right. I'll maybe take it up to 1.1, just so it's a little bit visually different than the chopping board. But I think as far as the knife and the chopping board go, that's us complete on that. So in looking at the entire scene, I think the only things that we've not textured yet are the apple and the peach. So in the next video, let's move on to the peach.